All right. Welcome, Jenny and Eric Patton. Thank you so much for carving out
Mhm.
time today. I know you guys are very busy with your schedule and helping people out there, but I really wanted an opportunity for you guys to share some of the wonderful things that Inspired Change Collective is accomplishing, especially during a time like now, in helping people develop a better positive mindset, thinking consciously about their exercise routines and making sure that it's the right fit for them and ultimately living a healthy life. So I just want to thank you guys again for coming on.
Yeah,
Hey, thank you
thank
for having us.
you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So could you guys start by just kind of giving us some background? Who are Jenny and Eric Patton?
Well, I'm Jenny.
And I'm Eric.
um, we have been dating since 2006, and we, from the time that we first met, we always had this idea of like, he was always into psychology, I've always been into movement, and we had this kind of really obscure idea of creating some space that we can combine mind and body.
Mm,
And so I think we might have called it like the Mind and Body Lab or
Yeah, I
something
think
like
so.
that. But it kind of was just a thing that we were like, oh, that'd be cool. And then, just life happened and took us different routes, but led us here. And as far as like who we are, I think we're just two positive and optimistic people that really want to help change the world.
that's awesome. And I love that as a husband and wife, as partners in life, you guys have found something that you're both very passionate about and leveraging your unique skills so that you guys can have this combined effort in helping the communities that you serve. Can you guys help us learn a little bit more about Inspired Change Collective? What do you guys do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we do is we work with people on developing a positive mindset and a strong one so that they're able to navigate obstacles that come up in life no matter what, right? Obviously, we're in a difficult situation right now, but at the same time, life is always throwing stuff at us all the
Hmm.
time that we need to learn to navigate. So we focus a lot on having a strong mindset. And then we tend to work on mindful movement in the sense of it does about being specific about how we move and being intentional about how we move, right? And so I think a lot of us, we come from an athletic background, a lot of CrossFit. So CrossFit's very intense all the time. And so what we try and work with people on is picking the days in which you're going to be intense rather
Mm,
than going in Monday through Friday and every single time going 100%,
yeah.
and picking the days that you want to. So that way you're creating habits that are going to be sustainable for
Right.
life rather than just
Hmm.
the next 3-4 years. Right.
Right.
And then what we also tend to work on after that is nutritional aspects of life. That's a really fun part for us. We're both certified nutritionists, and we both really, really enjoy teaching people how to create their own version of a healthy life.
Mm,
Rather than just following a plan or just following what somebody else says, we really like teaching people how they can create their own.
Mhm.
that's very cool. So it's like you guys are equipping your clients and members with the tools so that they can build some sort of autonomy in living out their life, the best versions of their life, by developing that positive mindset, by making sure that their exercise, movement, fitness routine is specific to what's important to them, and then ultimately having that trickle over into other aspects of their life. What is their nutrition like? How can you leverage your nutrition to be the healthiest version of yourselves?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And it'll be different for every person, right? Like an Olympic Games athlete is going to have a totally different daily schedule than somebody that just works in a normal 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Completely different ones. So we don't want to like try and fit a circle into a box,
Hmm.
A
right? Like
box into a circle.
either one.
Yeah.
But we don't like, we want to try and fit the person to what they need,
Right. Yeah.
right? Not just like a general thing. We both feel like the health and fitness industry does that a lot right now. They just try to put
Yeah.
everybody into this one little thing and like just do this and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's why so many people struggle with their
Yeah.
health, especially in the United States. A lot of us struggle with it. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's great that we have this power couple like you guys to address some of those things head on, these three pillars that are so incredibly important. So I want to take a step back a little bit. So you guys went from having this athletic background, this passion to connect your mental space and your physical activity together. Um, but I'm sure a lot of us have had some ideas of things that we wanted to accomplish in life before, but ultimately they don't really play out and manifest in a way that we would want them to. What was a tipping point for you guys where you realized, like, no, we have to do something, we have to bring people together, we have to service a community where they need help in these three areas of life?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty straightforward from us, kind of a crazy story. But about 2.5 years ago now, we had a fire at our house. Very large fire. It started in the garage and destroyed the rest of our house.
Oh,
Um,
man.
when that happened, and to make matters worse, it was actually on the day that we were flying to Tahiti to get married.
That's
And so,
insane.
yeah, it
That's
was pretty
insane.
crazy. It was a wild day.
Yeah.
We made it to the plane. I smelled like smoke, but we made it,
Yeah.
right? But that was a big tipping point for us because prior to that, we wanted to do these things, but there wasn't that sense of urgency. There wasn't that like burn, right? It's like, I gotta go do this. As soon as
Mhm.
that happened, we realized that if that same thing would have happened 12 hours later at 1 in the morning rather than 1 in the afternoon, we
Mhm.
probably would have been dead. And not just us, but like there's my grandmother also lives with us as well. And
Mhm.
so there's a high likelihood that we would not have made it out. And so
Wow.
once that happened, we both kind of were like, we got to do this now. Like, we have to do this now. We just had a near death experience.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm like, if not now, then when?
Right.
Like, we'll never do it. If this doesn't get you going, then we're not going to do it. And so
Mhm.
once that happened, we talked a lot and we had a lot of heart to heart discussions about what we needed to do to get this
Mhm.
going. And we just made the choice and we went after it. We went
Yeah.
after it, like, I don't know when when my last day is going to be, when my last minutes are going to
Mhm.
be. And we both want to make sure we're leaving a positive mark on the world. And so we just went with it and did it.
Yeah. No, that's I'm incredibly sorry that something like that happened to you guys. But there's so many different ways that we could spin into kind of like this negative spiral of thoughts and actions when we experience some sort of adversity in life. And very few people can use that opportunity and flip it and to see the silver lining and to use that as a catalyst to do something good.
Yep.
And it gives me a lot of comfort to knowing that there is a company like Inspire Change Collective where at the foundation and base is something like that. It's something where we have to make an impactful positive play on life,
Mhm.
and to be able to do that with your guys's efforts and motivations is it's very personally very inspiring. So thank you for sharing that. Could you guys share a little bit about your cool logo? I love your guys' icon that you use.
Yep.
Yeah, so we actually have stickers and they're pretty sweet too.
Oh, awesome.
So when we first came up with the name, it was pretty clear that like once we started brainstorming, it was like those were two key pieces that we wanted to have, something inspiring and related to change. So it's like, well, Inspire Change Collective, let's go.
Mhm.
So once we started to brainstorm the actual logo, we like to look up a lot of like symbolism. What does this thing mean? The meaning behind things. And so when we came across the lighthouse, its meaning still stands as a symbol of hope and
Mm.
guidance, right? So when you think about a stormy situation out at sea, the ship that's out at sea, going through the rough weathers, if it sees the light from the lighthouse, it knows that land is near.
Mhm.
And the big part about the tie-in and the relation with us as coaches is that what we want to be a symbol of hope, of guidance, of like help. And while we would love to be able to go and grab you and keep you safe, we understand that it's not going to be us holding your hand throughout the process.
Right.
We just want to show the way, light it up, and let you know that like safety is near, but it's up to you to get yourself there. And so that, I think, was one of the biggest parts of why we wanted to have the lighthouse as the main part of our logo. And then within the backspace, you see the rainbow and the sunshine coming up. And that's really that symbolism of like, after the storm, the sunshine will be there.
I love that. And I think that's such a fitting analogy for the current situation that we're in. Is, you know, things are uncertain. You know, the word unprecedented comes up a lot. There's just so many things that we just don't know what life is going to be like after all of this. But to know that we have a company like you guys, Inspire Change Collective, that we can lean on, and to serve as kind of like that beacon of hope, and to know that that you guys are out there to help guide certain individuals that are looking for that kind of assistance and that are looking for help in those 3 pillars that you guys are specializing in is really awesome. That's very cool. So who are some of the people that you guys are currently helping, and if you can share some experiences of what they're benefiting now?
Yeah. So some we actually have a very wide range of clients with very different needs. We have some that are on a more of a spiritual path. So they're in the sense of kind of finding themselves, finding who they are deep down inside. So with people like that, we kind of shift it a little bit more. It's a little heavier on the mindset than it is on some of the other aspects. We do have quite a few people as well that specifically come to us for nutrition.
Okay.
And
that's both weight loss as well as weight gain.
Correct.
We have both. And just healthy living. So it's not necessarily that it's like on one end versus the other. Right. So that's been really cool too.
Yeah. We have a lot of different people that need different things for themselves. Sure. So what our program does is we tailor it to what the person needs. So if the person, for example, needs a lot more work on movement, they don't do anything with movement, then we tend to focus more on that. And then when we notice things, what both of us are very good at, we're very intuitive with people, and we both can kind of tell what people need, even if they don't necessarily recognize it themselves. So that's a gift that both of us have. And I think we try to lean into that and listen to what people need, and then suggest this is where you should go.
Right, yeah.
And that kind of goes back to Lighthouse, what we just talked about, right? Like, I'm going to show you the path that you should walk on, but you have to go walk it.
Yeah.
I can't force you down that path, right?
And with that, we want to make sure that they're like at a 9 out of 10 confident that whatever the thing is that we suggest, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to crush this. Because if it's like something that we're like, oh my gosh, you should do this thing, but it's kind of up here and they're down here, then that's not going to show success for them, which will leave them frustrated, us like, what? I thought you could do, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it really is a lot of communication through the process of like just figuring, meeting them where they're at, figuring out where they want to be, and then setting almost like the little, pebbles along, or like little fruit snacks along the way, giving them, the path.
Yeah. I had a professor in college once, and we tried to embody this, and he told me that the best teachers in the world don't tell you where to go. They leave breadcrumbs all over so that you can find your own way to where you want. And that's what we try to embody, so that way we're not like, go this way. Just do this and just follow it. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people do in health and fitness. And you're only going to follow it until you don't want to follow it. Right?
Sure.
And as soon as you wake up one day.
Not sticky enough.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as it's just like you have a bad day or a bad week, whatever, and you're like, you know what? I don't really want to do this. Right? So rather than go down that route of just checklist wise, we're trying to teach people to change their habits so they can recognize it in the moment, right? Like, okay, I'm having a bad day right now. Why is this happening? Did I eat something different? Did something happen to me? Did someone say something to me? Did I trip and fall on my way in the office? Right? Like whatever it is, but we can recognize it and then not let it sprinkle into other areas.
Right. That's a very more empowering approach.
Exactly.
Than to just kind of rigidly set the boundaries of just, you have to do these things.
Right.
It's like, well, we want to give you the freedom, what's important to you, and we're going to give you the tools to be successful there. So what are some of the successful characteristics that you guys look for in bringing on new people to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things is someone that's, we use the term ready, willing, and able to change. That takes someone that is not just looking for the quick fix or the answer that's going to, give them the Band-Aid and be happy on their way. Like, we're looking for someone who understands that in order to not be where they're currently at, if this space where they're currently at is, is something that they want to be able to move on from, that there are things that need to be done, and they need it, like we said, as much as we give the best process, if they do not follow, it's not going to it's not going to work. So we really want to make sure that the person does have, like, our values have to be in line, right? And that they understand, like, that's something that they're really, really willing to put the effort in, not just when they're motivated to do it, but on, like, the day that they're like, man, like, this is going to be a tough day, and I'm still going to follow through with these things because this is what
it's important to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
we put a heavy emphasis on ready, willing, and able. I think the ready part is, like, usually the beginning stages of it. So people that are at a point where maybe they've tried a few different diet plans. What I also find too, generally speaking, and you tell me if you find this as well in health and fitness, but there's usually this cycle of, like, diet trends where people go right after the beginning of the year, and then by March they're no longer in the gym and no longer following their plan. But then it's summertime that's coming up right around the corner. So then April comes around and they're like, okay, I got to do another one. Right. Then they have fun over the summer, and they're like, man, the holidays are coming around. I got to go get on another one. So they go through this cycle, right? This whole cycle. They don't really learn anything. They just kind of go back and forth and do this little roller coaster. And so what we're trying to do is shatter that cycle, shatter it completely, so that you never feel like, oh, it's the holidays, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. We want people going into the holidays and being like, I'm going to bang off on everything on the table, and I'm not going to feel bad about it at all, right? It's the holidays, right? Like, it happens every year. We also tell people all the time with the holidays, like, unless I'm mistaken, this is going to happen once a year, every year for the rest of your life. Right?
Like, you want to feel that anxiety and, like, just total loss of, like, control. No, like, and when he says bang off on everything, we mean in moderation.
Yes, of
That's
course.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But, like, and I mean, I think it's ultimately giving them that power to say, like, I'm making this choice because I enjoy it, and being able to identify, am I actually enjoying it fully, or is it making me feel like crap in the end?
Interesting.
It's ultimately your choice whether or not you repeat it, but as long as you're aware of it, it's a choice, right? It's not. Yeah, so really that's what we're trying to identify.
So it sounds like what you're helping your clients also to benefit from is not just being reactive to these situations in life that will come up and just kind of be rattled and then kind of have to scatter some things to kind of come up with a plan or hop on the latest diet trend or fitness trend, whatever it might be, but to give them control where they're expecting and being proactive in, when this time comes, here's the kind of mindset I'm going to enter into the holidays or the time when the weather's getting nice and I want to be outdoors more. I want to be seeing people more.
Exactly.
Right.
You have anniversaries, you have birthdays, you have
weddings,
holiday parties, weddings, everything every year throughout the year.
You can't deprive yourself of those things.
Exactly,
no. Like, you'd be depriving yourself of a human experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what makes us human, is like that socialization. That's why the situation we're in right now is such a struggle, because we're not getting as much socialization. We're not getting, and we need it as humans. Like, it's a necessary part of our life. We have to do it, right?
And I think that because we're such big fans of food in itself, and, like, not just food for nutrition, but also for what, like, the connection that it brings within people.
Absolutely.
Like, what we're able to do, like, it's culture. It's so much more than just food and fuel, So, like, being able to identify, like, why something makes you feel good, and you know, when you're using something to replace another emotion, you know, like there's so much that we can go into that I think people sometimes overlook. And that's what we're trying to really, really bring forward into people's lives so that they can identify it for themselves.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, so there's actually a client that we have, a really, really good client of ours that's really made a lot of progress. And we've used this with a couple people, but like he had issues like drinking. He was going to parties with his friends, and he felt pressured to drink by his friends, right? Which I think all of us can kind of relate to a little bit when we go out. You know, like, hey, have a drink. Hey, have a drink. Oh, you're not having one? Go have another one, right? And it kind of, and he was really struggling with it. And so we talked about it at first and kind of just created the awareness, and then we created a plan the next time he went out where it was, how many drinks do you want to have when you're at this party, right? And so he picked a number that worked for him, that he felt like he would still be able to enjoy himself, but he wouldn't go over the top. So, right? And so that was the first one. And I think he hit it the first week, or maybe went over by one. And then the next time that happened, we had him add in an alarm. So that an alarm went off on his phone as a reminder at like 10 p.m. that this is what he planned to do. And he's told us as soon as it went off, he was like, you know what, you're right. I did say I wanted to do this, so I'm going to slow down a little bit.
Wow.
So it's
That's a really cool experience.
right? Using your environment and whatever tools that you have available to help you, instead of just being like out of sight, out of mind, la la la, right? Because we can always go to excuses for literally anything.
For sure. And it's like, if he wasn't prepared, he would have walked into that social setting, like, and it would have been like a setup for him, you know, to fail. Essentially.
Right.
That's really cool.
Kind of relate to that social pressure, and it's hard. It's kind of hard to say that to people, and like, unless you're like adamant about it and you're very clear about what you want, it's kind of difficult. To do.
And imagine now, like, once these you know, social restrictions are lifted, people are going to just be like going for it, right? But it sounds like the people that you guys are helping are going to have the tools, are going to be stronger in their mind to make educated decisions that is in line with ultimately their goals.
Exactly.
That's very cool. So interestingly, speaking about kind of the COVID-19 situation, what are some ways you guys have made some unique pivots or adjustments to the way you deliver your services to your clients, and how have they still benefited during this time?
Well, I'd say that because we were actually transitioning or created the company within the work from home space, and it was a lot of remote coaching, and then check-ins through phone calls, FaceTime, and Zoom. There really wasn't a big pivot for us. We really wanted to emphasize the connection part of, you know, what we do. And so really just making sure that we are, you know, staying connected by reaching out through text message, setting up and making sure that they follow through with our actual check-in dates, not letting it just be like, hey, I'll talk to you whenever, like, but really making it the effort to be there for them in whichever way that we can. The other one thing that we did do at the beginning of last month, we actually did a 1 month long challenge where it was a 30-day guided challenge, and we sent out an email a day with a specific prompt and a challenge for the day. That was definitely different for us, but it was actually really exciting, and we got good feedback from the entire process because it was different from your typical fitness challenge that made you just like, all right, go run a mile, go do this, go do that. It was like, let's think differently. Let's call a friend. Let's think about how our, confrontations can actually benefit us, right? Like, what can we learn from these? So it was definitely different, but pretty cool on our end and what we heard from people.
Yeah, we got a lot of really good feedback about it from a lot of people that enjoyed the shift and what we were talking about. So an example, right, that we did the first week was we did social Saturdays, right? And so we asked everybody to go and contact 3 people that they haven't either heard from or haven't had a conversation with, and just let them know that they were thinking about it. Right? So we really like to emphasize it, especially right now, that like social distancing doesn't mean social isolation, right? And so many people, I think, are just going home and just isolating themselves just because you can't physically go out and like go to a party, go to the gym, go to a bar or a restaurant or something like that, right? Like that doesn't mean that you can't still be social. And
Mhm.
so a lot of people I think really needed that little shift of
Mhm.
like, I get you're at home, I get we're struggling. That doesn't mean that you have to go into your hermit crab hole and like stay there,
Yeah.
you know? And I think a lot of people really, really, really benefit from it. That was the biggest pivot that we did. Outside of that, I'd say most of the business had stayed the same because we set it up to be
Awesome.
online anyways. And so,
Which
Yeah.
makes you guys more accessible.
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
to be able to reach more people
Mhm.
that maybe we wouldn't be able to within our specific space.
Yeah, I love that approach. Very cool. So
Mhm.
lastly, just to kind of bring it back into full circle, using that kind of tipping point experience that you guys had with something so traumatic as having your home catch on fire, but using that as a positive way to catalyst your efforts to really bringing to life Inspire Change Collective. What is that impact that you guys want to have on the communities or even the world that want to avail themselves to your service?
Yeah, I mean that's a really great question, and I think ultimately for both of us, we have done a lot of work on ourselves, and we know that while yes, my mom says I'm special and his mom says he's special too, we fully
She's right.
believe, yeah, we fully believe in like the power that each and every single one of us have to make a change in our lives, and
Yeah.
it starts with making the decision to make that change. It also helps, like this isn't to mean that like everyone needs to come hire a coach, but we do believe in the power of having someone to guide you along the way. And we want to be there, not to like ever push anyone down and show them like, you're not here and this is bad. No, you can love yourself and still want to make change for your life. And so we want to show people that that is possible, and that they like literally, we don't believe in anything as being impossible, right? We want to show people that if there's something that they truly want to accomplish, it can be done. And first they need to get past and sorry for my language, asshole that lives inside the head, right?
Hmm.
And really, really dial in with like who they are, what they want, and how that set themselves up to really get after it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We definitely, I think our biggest thing that we really want to do is to empower people, right? So that they have control of their life, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes you just kind of need somebody else to kind of nudge you along a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think as she mentioned, like we all kind of have that person in the back of our head that has a
Sure.
negative thoughts, right? Like you
Sure.
kind of, I think everybody does, right? And so I think that what we want people to do is to recognize that that's not the voice that you should be listening to,
Yeah.
right? Like, I know it's there. I get it. I understand it's there, but that's not the voice you should be listening to,
Right.
because we are all, I firmly believe that like we are all special, like very, very, very special. I think people in general have this light inside of them that they don't always let out,
Hmm.
right? And for one reason or other, for some people they're scared too, right? And I always love that quote, like, that when we shine our light, we give other people permission to shine their light,
Mm.
right? And so I think for us, again, going back to the lighthouse as well, that's all we're trying to do is shine the light
Hmm.
so that you can shine your own light bright. And like, to be quite honest with you, like that little moment when people realize that it's in there and it comes out and you watch it happen, there's
Yeah.
not a dollar value you can put on that.
Yeah.
Like, no, you couldn't pay me like billion, or you could pay me all the money in the world. Like I would stay in that moment every time, 100% of the time, because it's so worth it. And
Yeah.
it's just wonderful to see that it's in there.
Especially when they try to relate the accomplishment to what we were doing, like,
We're like, nope, that
nope,
was all
you did
you.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
that's one of the coolest feelings. And
Yeah.
I think being able to see that in other people, and then for them to see it in themselves, to be able to get comfortable and confident in like
Hmm.
being able to move forward. And our goal is, and we tell people, our clients, this all the time, like, we love you and we'll be friends with you forever, but we don't want you to need us forever. If you want to hang out with us, awesome, but we don't want you to need us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
want you to learn what it is that you need to make your life the best life that you possibly can live.
That's awesome. That's very well said. And it's so comforting to know that there are people like you both Jenny and Eric, that have kind of taken the reins and kind of own that sense of responsibility to inspire change. And I think that's such a fitting name for your business and for the things that you guys are looking to accomplish by helping people develop that positive, healthy mindset to have an exercise routine that leaves them feeling like they're in control and that they're empowered, and ultimately living that healthy, well fit life that they want, that they have dreamed up dreamt up into their head, and to make it a reality.
Mhm.
So I just want to thank you guys again so much for taking the time to share a little bit of the incredible things that Inspire Change Collective is accomplishing right now. And if people want to get in touch with you guys, what's the best way to do that?
Probably through our Instagram.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we just redid our Instagram a couple months ago, and so that's the easiest way, probably just to DM us. So it's
Awesome.
at Inspire Change Co. And so that's probably the easiest way to get in contact with us. We're starting to put out a lot more content now, and so
Awesome.
yeah, we love for anybody to come and even just chat with us at all about it. We're trying to impact as many lives as we can, one at a time.
Awesome. Awesome. So if there are people that are watching this and you guys feel that you need that beacon of hope, you need a light to kind of guide your efforts towards, please reach out to Inspire Change Collective on Instagram at Inspire Change Co. Thank you guys again so much, and we'll look forward to
Thank
doing this
you.
again soon.
Thanks.
Bye.